Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dirtnation Offroad. So today what we're doing is doing a final verdict, final review on the Thunder Trac Grip R408 mud terrains that we picked up from Amazon back in March. So when we first started with these tires, we went, did an install, initial review, road test, all that good junk in our first video, and then we proceeded to take these tires everywhere, beat the crap out of them, and then make a second review going over all of that as well as doing the first rotation. Now since then, we're going to do an update video on that. We're going to go over the conditions of the tires, why they're in that condition, and then we're going to go over performance since our last review, and then we're going to talk about who these tires are for, why you should get them, why you shouldn't get them, and then we'll go over what we're going to do next with the Tacoma and its tire situation. So let's get to it. Starting with the current conditions of the tires, they have about 20,000 miles on them, and they're pretty much on their last legs, honestly. Two of the tires are nearly bald, which are the rear ones right now, and the other two are well on their way. And a few of them have cracking, some gashes, chunks, even pulled a screw out of one, which it didn't need a patch. These tires, they're pretty much done. Now, the funny thing is, these tires still work pretty well considering their condition. We'll go over that more later, but these tires still killing it, guys. In their current state, I see these tires getting maybe another 2,000, maybe 3,000 miles, depending on how I treat them, bringing their total to around 23,000 miles. Now that's way lower than what you get from most mud terrains. If you guys' experience is different, definitely let me know. I'd like to know how, if let's say I have these tires and they've lasted this long. Comment below, because I'm curious to know. So probably going to get around 23,000 miles out of these tires. It looks bad, but there's a lot of factors to consider when it comes to how I drive and how often I off-road. My experience comes from somebody that off-roads pretty much every weekend, and I typically don't baby my truck. In turn, I don't baby the tires. I air them down really low, and I'm beating on them. I'm taking harder obstacles. I'm taking hard lines. And the other thing that we're having to deal with lately with this truck is I've had some significant alignment issues since Baja. Baja pretty much destroyed my suspension. That's a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. Hey, you're going to try and keep up with Raptors, you're going to pay the price. The front struts, rear struts were completely all worn out. Upper ball joints completely destroyed. The lower control arms still fine, actually. Destroy my bump stops, all that stuff, but that's besides the point. In terms of the alignment and suspension part of it, front struts are worn out as ball joints, causing a little bit of a wobble, and then I destroyed my freaking camber caster adjustments on the lower control arm on the passenger side. And because of that, you can't really align the truck the proper way, to where what happened was whatever tires I put in the front, they would get really bald really quickly, and they would even cup significantly to where the inside tread was way higher than the outside tread. What I resorted to doing was rotating the tire on the wheel to where now that tread's on the outside. It helped them last a little bit longer, but these tires didn't wear very well, and that was whatever I put in the front. Whatever I put in the rear was completely fine. Those tires lasted, but as I rotated them, they kept cupping. Now, without these issues, I believe these tires could have lasted well over 30,000 miles, maybe even 35,000 miles, which I believe is average for a mud terrain tire. I know an all-terrain can last a lot longer, but mud terrains, they typically last 35,000 miles from my understanding. Now, a good example of the potential of these tires is Ted. Now, Ted's been on a few runs with us. He has a 2018 Nissan Frontier 4x4, and he bought his Thunderers exact same set that I have, same size, same tread, and he bought those right after I did. And he has about 15,000 miles on his, and his tires look damn near brand new. And it's because he doesn't beat up his truck as much as I do. He drives often, but he's not out there on the trail as much. But his tires look so much better than mine, and it's only 5,000 mile difference. So as we continue to review more tires and take a look at different ones, I'll definitely throw an update out there on when he gets closer to 30,000 miles or however long his tires last. I'll give you guys that update, because I am very curious about it, because I think my experience was on more the negative side and the extreme side of off-roading. So in all, these tires lasted a little less than expected in miles, but there's some things to explain it. Up next, we'll go over performance since our last update. In that video, I went over that these tires perform well in pretty much every environment we wheeled in. Since then, I still stand behind those statements, and what I'll add to that from a performance perspective is that it hasn't declined as these tires got, you know, more wear and baldness and whatever you want to call it. We have proof of that in our 2 recent runs of Gold Mountain. Now, Gold Mountain is more on the, I don't want to say extreme side, it's an intermediate trail, but it's more difficult than most trails that beginners are going to run, and these tires still grabbed in both cases. Now, the December takeover had me taking more difficult lines than normal. The first obstacle, I was having some trouble with traction. I was at 20 psi, I decided to air down to 8 psi again, and these things still gripped. I ended up gripping, getting over that hard section, was good to go. Now, the second run in January had us hitting Gold Mountain with a significant amount of snow on the trail. These tires did just fine with that. And, you know, speaking of snow, in our last video, we didn't go over anything to do with rain or snow because we hadn't experienced any up until that point. Since then, we've ran 3 trails in snow, and I've, you know, been daily driving in the rain. Now, when it comes to rain, I haven't had any issues with, like, you know, my tail slipping or anything like that. If you drive a normal speed and you're safe about it, you're not going to have any issues with these tires. Now, with snow, I did have some trouble, mainly our Cleghorn run in the snow. Now, Cleghorn was completely covered in snow. It's a very popular trail, so people are running through there all the time. A lot of it was packed down pretty tight to where I was sliding all over the place. It was my first time driving in snow as well on a trail. So as you're hitting the turns, you know, I learned the hard lesson that you don't brake on the turns, you brake on the straightaways, because when you brake on the turns, your tail slides and you're either going into the mountain or you're going off the mountain. Not a very safe situation. So I don't know if I can blame the tires for that, or I blame my own noviceness of, is that a word, noviceness? We'll roll with that. Newbury of driving in snow. The next time that we ran in snow was at Sheep Creek Truck Trail in Lytle Creek, and that was right after a big snowstorm the day before. Had about 6 inches of fresh snow, and the tires had no issues running through that trail with a lot of snow. I just found myself just driving. I kept it in 4 low, kept the diffs open, and, you know, I took that advice of don't brake on the turns, brake on the straights, and I didn't have any issues. And then back to the latest trip to Gold Mountain, the backside of the trail had a bunch of snow, and I didn't have any issues with grip. Now, overall, everything I've said about the tires up until this point, I still stand behind that. These tires just grip. That's the best way I could say it. They grab, they grip, you can air them down, and you can beat them up. Even at the end of their life, they still perform pretty well. You know, even right now, I know I'm gonna go off-roading tonight. You know, prequel, we're gonna run Cleghorn at night again, and I'm gonna be doing it with these bald tires. Idra, you're asking where the effing Viking is at? Well, first of all, I'm right here, and I'm recording my Thunder video. Now, finally, let's give that final verdict. Are these the tires for you and your vehicle? Let's talk about it. These tires are going to give you amazing off-road performance at a cheaper price. Plain and simple. If you're somebody that's like me, that's building multiple vehicles and you're working with a budget, these are the tires for you. Now, the only situation in which I wouldn't recommend these tires is if you're somebody who daily drives your vehicle and you don't hit aggressive trails to where you need an aggressive tread pattern. Don't go with these mud terrains or any mud terrains. Get yourself some all terrains, because you're probably going to save a little bit of money. You're going to get more miles, and you're going to get more gas mileage out of those tires, because MTs suck at all that stuff. That's the trade-off of getting better grip. You know, they worse gas mileage, they last less time, and they're typically more expensive. So if you're that person, then these aren't the tires for you. Later this year, when we finally put 35s on this truck, you can bet your butt that they're going to be the Trac Grip MTs, because I believe this truck with 35s, armor, and a re-gear is going to be able to do anything I want it to. Now, in the meantime, we do need tires. We're going to stick with 33s for now because the truck's not ready for 35s. And I thought about just getting the same exact tires again, but I don't feel like that'd be fair to you guys. I want to review something. I want to give you guys some feedback on new tires. So the ones that I'm thinking about getting is some new tires that we saw at SEMA. We got a first look at Thunder's Ranger ATRs. They're a radial terrain tire. It's a more aggressive all-terrain tire. So I want to see, can we save some gas and also not compromise on off-road performance. So we're going to check out those tires, I believe. Haven't purchased them yet, but we're going to be looking at that soon. And once we do that, you guys will see that here. But if you have any other suggestions on tires, definitely comment below. We'd love to hear from you guys. But other than that, that's it for the video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channels. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Patreon. You can hit us up for shirts at dirtnationoffroad@gmail.com. But other than that, thank you guys. We'll see you again next time.